Yeah, I
All
feel
right.
like, after all the justice shit got sorted, we're in a bit of a better spot. It's not really my domain, but feels like shit's sort of in a bit of a better place now.
Yeah, it's flowing. Okay.
Bits from me that I did yesterday. I
Mm-hmm.
spoke to a couple of the business people who put in grants. The guy who was doing that airline thing, I
Mm-hmm.
got him to resubmit it for 500,000, and then I told him to put a lot more detail into his grant because it was very
Good.
bland.
I met with him yesterday as well up at the Grapeseed Airfield, right?
I
Is that
really
the one
like
you
him.
met?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I met with him for about 10 minutes yesterday and he was telling me everything he has going now and as well as future plans. So it was really neat.
Like all his ideas and like the money he's already invested and everything like that. He seems like a pretty dedicated guy, and it's fair to say, like there's a couple of people who've tried to do airline businesses, right, and Bazin being one of them, and I don't really think any of them are quite taken off because no one's really shoved you. If you want a business to be successful, you need to literally just shove it down someone's throat to work, right? And I feel like he's someone who's probably got the dedication to just go, yeah, I'm just gonna fucking go for it.
Oh, he missed the PD meeting. That's why he was down here. Okay. Charles is on Princess's cabinet. Now it all makes sense. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud.
Um,
Wait, Charles who?
Charles Danger, the guy that just stopped over there and said good
Oh,
morning to
okay.
us.
Okay, got
Yeah,
you. Oh,
yeah.
interesting. Yeah, other than that, I've not really got too much to update you guys on. It's been pretty quiet in terms of business things. I think court stuff is ticking along quite nicely, right, Jason? In terms of redeveloping
Yes.
it.
Yes, it is coming along. I want to talk to Helios because I guess how I told Benjamin with what businesses should be in which room, he was disappointed that I put the weed dispensaries in the room with the balcony rather than him. So I'm going to talk to him and see how much he really wants that room because I'd rather him be happy with the one he has and use it than be just meh and then not use the one he's been assigned. So
Yeah, the thing is with Helios, right? He is someone who I think he's someone who, if we set him up with somebody he's happy with, the guy will pretty much be there whenever he's around. You know what I mean? Having someone
right.
like that around would be quite big. I feel like.
I think so
So
too. Yes.
I think the reason courts wasn't, the way we get it open all the time is we build a community around it, right? We just need people
Exactly.
like Helios who are going to be there a lot.
Right, right. And that's why I want to talk to him and actually gauge how much he did want that room because if he was like no, like it's that or nothing, I'm definitely going to give him that room. But if he's just like, it's okay, I don't care, um I'll just judge it. I want to talk to him and judge it myself rather than taking what other people are telling me he's saying. So,
Mhm.
mm,
Last thing from me, Nino. I've got in
yeah.
contact with all the flight instructors, but they all
Mm-hmm.
have very differing schedules. Like, I'm around like a good fucking most of the day, pretty much. And I see some of them when I first wake up, and then I see some of them when I'm going to bed. Like, there's no real middle point. So unless I manage to just sort of wangle them all in a room together at some crazy hour, I don't think I'll be able to do it. So is it okay if I do it in maybe twos and threes and speak to them? Because I just don't think it's
Yeah, I mean, it's up to.
schedule
No,
plausible.
no, yeah. I mean, listen, however you want to chop it up, to be honest. I
Okay,
think,
cool.
I've been getting like mixed. It's hard to, the key is and this kind of goes, it's hard to trust people at face value because most people got an angle. Like, I genuinely don't know if what Bazin's fantastic, right? But he could have an angle, right? And it's not necessarily an angle, but like a perspective that he's not. The more you get in a room, the better it is for your own good, because it forces people to be honest around those that may have the differing opinion. You know what I mean? Like,
Okay,
if someone, just to kind of paint my point a little bit, is if Bazin might tell you there's an issue directly to you, but next to two of his peers, he may not. And I would argue that if you're not willing to say that in front of your peers, then it may be fake news because he doesn't want them to create a counterpoint. You know what I mean? That's how I tend to read it, at least.
Do you think Bazin's just...
I'm not trying to read it that deep. But I think his points are going to be more valid with his peers in the room than a one-on-one, because it's just...
I'll try my best to get a couple of them with Bazin then, and see what they say.
All right, hell yeah.
And that ain't got too much to talk about. Obviously, I think Michael's off for a while, right?
Yeah, I think he's got like he has a yeah, the railroad track outside his house seems like
he's
got some issues. I don't know how he's gonna do it. I'd fucking lose my mind.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I've lost my cellular. He can't. You can't get a train ticket because his cell network's down. You know.
That's a long day.
Oh, that's happened to me just recently, and
yeah.
I was like trying to just find anywhere I could find the internet. It was terrible. I hated it. It was for the whole city.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
is there much we need to be updated on, Nino? Or is everything fairly
things are
green
fairly good? I mean, honestly, I've just been writing legislation shit all day. I have tried to lock in on... Well, actually, I'd love your opinion. If you go to reports...
Mm-hmm.
And then look, criminal code theft.
Okay.
And I think what I'm gonna like in terms of reading, right? I have example 1, example 2. If you had to look at charges, what format is an easier read for you?
I personally prefer example 2.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about you? Jason?
I like, okay, this is going to be a weird explanation, but I like example 1, but I see PD with example 2, with it being broken out in littler chunks, being easier for them.
Okay. What aspect of it? If you guys could go through your thought process so I can recognize what's the good and what's the key part of it. Is it because the misdemeanor is broken out?
Yeah, I like how it's broken up a bit more, and I don't. This is much more like Michael's domain, but for me personally, it's just, I think, just worded and explained in a better way than example 1. But maybe that's just me.
Okay, interesting. Okay, that is very interesting.
I like reading sentences, so example 1 is better for me, but again, example 2 I think is better for PD, which is what this is really for.
Well, it's for both, to be honest. So
okay.
for reference, the grading is would only be for the penal code. So you wouldn't have to really know that bit of information at glance. You know what the real thing is? We need more font tools, I think, in the MDT.
Yeah, I agree. It just looks a bit fucking bland, doesn't it?
It does. It's so hard to like see the separation of things. Okay. All right.
Yeah, me personally, it's example 2, but in there, it's your decision, right?
Well, I do want to hear like the whys, right? So what that's helping me do is sort of, if you were like, you know, this thing is easier. So what I want to ask from you is, if you personally needed to look up the law on theft, which one would you prefer? Let's say you needed to look up possession of stolen identification. Is that illegal? What do you personally prefer, and what specifically makes it your preference? And I'm going to utilize that information to not only make a final determination, but there may be a potential better third option I may end up with.
Then for me, I'd actually say example 1, because I think it's what it is, and then a description of what it is, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, that's exactly the goal. And what made you originally choose number 2?
For me, it's a case of when I have read through, you know, which little legislation I have, it's typically been A and B, and it's just more detailed, and I feel like something which is easier for cops to use, so to speak.
Oh, the content is the same, by the way.
Yes, but for PD, having the grading there and all of a sudden petty theft right there in front of their face, misdemeanor, instead of having to go back or remember that it is a misdemeanor, I believe would make their job easier when processing somebody.
Interesting. Okay. Makes sense. I see. And then,
but for like the everyday user, example 1, because they don't care if it's a misdemeanor or not, they just want to know if something's illegal.
This is good. So if that's the case, I'm gonna go with example 1, because this is not for the PD, it's for people. PD need to know this, and you know, I'd rather people be more informed, and if the PD has to do more work, even though they have the tools for it, that's the better one. Okay, this is very good. I'm gonna be looking around. If there is any way that you think there's a better way to format the information, because I will say, I kind of don't like. This isn't perfect. This template. So if you scroll down, you'll see Article 2 vehicles, Article 3 robberies, blah 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 blah. Those are all like, those haven't been formatted yet. But there's gonna be like a lot of shit in here, and I'm trying to find like the best template, because over time, possession of stolen identification may come with some like, this will not include physical license, or this will not include digital license. This will not da 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 da. And so these individual charges now, like, because of our bill stuff, we can start expanding on it. So if a particular law is shit, like, or not explained enough, or we want it to have more meaning or more explicit meaning, we'll be able to do so in these sections. So to give an example, you know, of stolen identification, we could make a bill that says explicitly rule out digital licenses as being valid. And we could either expand that sentence out or do the following, you know, like, you guys see that live?
Yes.
Yeah, with you.
You know what I mean? That's kind of the idea behind this. So, which I'm really excited for, to be honest, because like today I feel like we want to do something as simple as make one little alteration. We've been having to write like an entire like 1-page document where now we can like propose a bill and say, let's expand on one of these charges beyond the one sentence that everyone's been dealing with. So, ooh, on that topic, do we have any legislation that's been pending that you guys have been working on or would like to see put forward? Because I know myself, Michael, have been like so neat, like head
Yes.
in the sand, like working on this shit.
Michael and I were working on the subsidy for the pharmaceutical businesses or manufacturers with the moonshine, and I don't know where we left off on that, so I might actually need to speak with him. But that is something that I do want to see get finished, especially if we are working on courts operating at a fuller capacity.
Yeah. I would recommend that you put it into a copy of it inside a report.
Okay.
That way, you know, we can preemptively review it. I genuinely think we should be just trying to pass it. And, you know, best effort is, now that we have the bills, we can do best effort. We can always make alterations as need be. You know what I mean?
Okay, great.
I worked on something probably about like a couple of weeks back now, but I think it's a bit stupid. So, I don't know.
Which is what?
I don't know whether it's any good or not, because writing legislation isn't really my thing. But I wrote legislation.
Just write it, brother.
I've done it all. It's basically aiming to assist new businesses in helping and training new employees. So it basically encourages businesses to invest in like fresh talent and like foster, you know, skill development and create like sustainable and long-term employment opportunities. And so it just allows us to subsidize new employees' wages for businesses. So actively encourages businesses to hire new people. If it's a no-go, it's a no-go.
I say they do that through a business grant. Do business grants cover that?
Kind of. But let me. We've approved quite a few business grants. Have you ever seen one that's been like covering employees' wages? Or, like,
I don't know what
new employees' wages.
So I'm mixed on this, right? I would say that if this is something that could be used, then we should not like make more right now we have way too much shit being made. Okay, in an ideal world, we could have hundreds of pieces of legislation. We live in a world where this is going to become impossible to know the law. And being cognizant of that, I would say that if this is something that the current grant legislation does not provide, then we should amend that piece of legislation to make way for that. However, that amendment should not include, like, it should not be forced. Like, we should not be forced to give it to them. It should be like, hey, if you need wage for your employees, you can request it as a part of your business grant. I genuinely do not. I kind of don't want to do this. I'm going to be honest. This sounds like here's my problem with it, right? My problem / fear is we have so many grants and stuff that we process that we may end up making people think they're owed employee money. And that's gonna be ass.
Yeah, that
like,
makes sense.
you get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
someone's
I
like,
do
oh
get
my
it.
god, I'm owning an ice cream shop and I'm paying my employees $3,500 an hour, and then all of a sudden we're getting like $3 million, you know, like requests for a business that doesn't even run, you know?
Yeah, I do get it.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of said I don't know if it's any good or not, because I don't know whether it was.
I think you should just expand that, like the business grant legislation, to say that it's something that we could do, right? Because I think business grants we should be like assessing on a case by case basis. Like someone may come to us and say like, hey, you know, part of our business grant is like, I don't know, like $50,000 for some employee wages for the month, and we need to and we might be like, okay, that makes sense. So like on a case by case basis is a lot easier. Rather than creating a system where people are expecting, like, us to run their business for them, you know?
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, other than that, I've not really worked on it. I'll be honest. There was a point in time where I really looked into like doing different bits, but I don't really know. Other than business grants, is there anything else
I
could
got
really
something
work
for
on?
you.
Okay.
I would like, Princess Elena did a scuffed ass survey in which some tea. At the end of the day, I did not give a fuck who she picked. I didn't want her to pick. I tried to keep my opinion to me because my opinion is very powerful. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I want them to Blaine County to be Blaine County, because I want Los Santos to be Los Santos, LSPD to be LSPD. Because so they can be whatever the fuck they want, right? And I'm not going to be a hypocrite trying to push something on them just as much as they better not push anything on us. But after she landed on Peters, it's very evident that she had a lot of pressure put on her. And the moment I heard about this survey where she tried to it wasn't even cope. She tried to convince me that her survey of 35 people inferred that BCSO people had more problems with LSPD than BCSO, and like tried to convince me of that. Like I was just like, okay, princess, like, you know, relax here. like who are you trying to fool right now? It was a tool in which to direct to an answer that she wanted, right? Which is fine, but you know, I don't really think it's good that she was spreading around misinformation to come to a conclusion. What I'm trying to say here is she needed a narrative in order to drive a opinion away from Peters after she got flack for wanting Peters, right? That's my allegation. It's fine. At the end of the day, if she had just said, I want McNulty, that's fine. But like, you know, don't go around spreading misinformation about our county. I wasn't going to confront her on it, but I think it's important for us to get the actual truth, because you know what? Maybe I'm in the wrong, right? Maybe LSPD is a massive problem. I think we need this is your and Sinai's ears only, and I think that needs to be very clear, is that I'd like to get a survey for general. I would like a survey for general city we need to we could use a census on the city. What do people think about the BCSO? What do people think about the LSPD? What do people think about the PD in general? What is their satisfaction on businesses, right? Like all these like kind of key things that we as the mayor's office need. And I'm going to see if we can get that poll, that survey on the ballots, on the ballot box.
Okay, yeah, that'll be big. Okay. How many questions would you be looking for?
I think we want satisfaction ratings on on the police departments, on the hospital, on the DOJ, on lawyers. I think it should be a satisfaction sort of thing.
So I've got here, you want to do it on hospital, LSPD, DOJ, lawyer, businesses, anything else?
Do you feel like your rights have been violated in the last 30 days? Do you think, actually, it should be law enforcement specific? What? General law enforcement satisfaction, BCSO satisfaction, LSPD satisfaction, marshal satisfaction. Have your rights been, do you feel like your rights have been violated? Do you feel like law enforcement has protected you? And I think it should be a scale, like either a yes or no, or alternatively you can do a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being like highly protected or 1 being like not very protected.
I'll so you only want to do law enforcement now, yeah?
No, no. We want those for law enforcement, but then a just satisfaction rating for the hospital, lawyers, and DOJ as well.
Okay, got you.
We could set up a meeting on this too, like to go into detail with her if you'd like.
Yeah, that'll be great. That'll be great.
Or alternatively, she could also put together, I mean, if she's down, right, we could pay her to do this, is maybe get those questions and then we could like review those questions. My kind of goal being that like we should have an idea of what like people are thinking, whether or not we like the information or hate the information. We can use it to like see how things are a month from now, right? A month after that, you know.
What I'll do, I'll let her know about all the things you want to know about, and I will. Should we say tomorrow she can meet up with us and try and show us the list of questions she's drafted for us?
Yes, that'd be great.
Sweet. I'll get cooking on that.
All right. Anything else you want to chit chat about?
Nothing from me. No.
All right, easy. Jason?
I'm good. Nothing going
right.
on since yesterday, so.
Hell yeah. All right. I'm going to be knee deep trying to get all this stuff cleared up. Might even do Cinco de Mayo tomorrow. I haven't really decided yet, you know, and hopefully come back with ready to start kicking some more ass.
All right. Sweet.
All right.
Oh, quick one. We're still not looking to add anyone to the cabinet at the moment, are we?
Only, it sounds like you would like someone to join the cabinet?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say that we should only add someone to the cabinet if they're bringing a vital function to the table. Otherwise, we risk a voice that is... I'm afraid anytime we add someone, I'm afraid that they could be an unnecessary voice. You know what I mean? Well, who is it? And where would they fit in?
I would like Tiny to be part of it, if I'm being honest. I feel like ever since I've met her, she's been someone who's always worked really hard with this.
That sounds perfect. Invite her in.
You sure?
Yeah. Well, don't tell her yet. We'll do a whole thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You can have her start attending the meetings. I agree with her. I agree with that in the sense that she does provide... she fills a role that we could desperately use. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just that insight into what, like, the everyday person, like, we don't really have that day-to-day insight. Like, I know a lot of business people, but that, you know, they're very much the senior buttons day-to-day people, and just people who pass across in the street. She knows, like, a lot of people when it comes to that side of things.
I think it is also important to make sure that, well, like, how does she... Is she going to have problems if there's, like, conflict with the North? Which I don't think there will be,
no.
but...
No, I highly doubt it.
Okay, well, I think it's worth chatting to her about that. because I wouldn't want to put her in a position where she has to make choices. You know what I mean?
Understood. I'll speak to her.
Awesome. All right, easy.
All right.
If you guys need me, I'll phone call away, yeah?
All right. Appreciate it, Nino.
See you later.
Take care.